All right. Hi, artists. Today we're going to be learning all about color and color harmonies and kind of start talking about color mixing and the color wheel, which is probably something that you might remember from middle school or elementary school art classes, but for some of you, it might have been a while. So some of this might be a review, but hopefully you learned some new information as well. And today you'll need your sketchbook out to take notes and then a pencil as well as some colored pencils. So, just a night like some background, why do we study color? Well, there's lots of studies that show that humans are emotionally affected by color. So, seeing different colors and color combinations will communicate different feelings or moods for us as humans. And maybe it's not the same for everybody, but I think that's kind of an interesting fact. Think of logos from companies or different products that you like, and why do you think they choose the colors that they do? What do you think those colors communicate to the consumer, whoever's buying it? All right, so like I said, you'll need your sketchbook to take some notes today, a pencil, and then also your colored pencils. So take a moment to get those out. And then on a clean sheet in your sketchbook, I want you to write down these words here that you're seeing. Primary colors, and leave some space for where you'll take notes. Secondary colors, tertiary colors, tint, and shade. And leave some space at the bottom where you'll be creating a little mini color wheel. All right, so here we're going to learn about the color wheel vocabulary. So I'm sure you all have seen an image like this of the color wheel. These don't encompass every single color that our human eyes can see, but it's kind of the basis for all colors. So when we're talking about the base for all colors, the colors that really make just about any other color are our primary colors. So in your notes, write down what the primary colors are: red, yellow, and blue. And I would recommend adding colored pencil to give you that color connection. So red, yellow, and blue, primary colors. You can mix just using those, you can mix just about any other color. So in painting class, if you end up taking that, you'll get a set of paints and you'll have a red, two different reds, two different blues, and two different yellows. And you use those colors to mix everything else, plus white to make some lighter colors. So then next in your notes for secondary colors, write down what those colors are: orange, green, and violet. Violet and purple are kind of the same idea, but generally when we're talking about color theory, we use the word violet instead of purple. So using your colored pencils, also add those colors. And orange, violet, and green are mixed from those primary colors, kind of equal ratios of both. So mix a little bit of red with a little bit of yellow, you're going to get some kind of orange. Mix a little bit of blue with a little bit of yellow, you'll get some kind of green. And notice that that's where it's sitting, in between those two colors on the color wheel. Mix a little red with a little blue, you'll get some kind of violet. So that's why these colors are laid out in the way that they are. And then lastly, we have tertiary colors. It's kind of a weird word, tertiary. So these are all the other colors in between. We have 6 total. So under tertiary colors, we have red orange, yellow orange, yellow green, blue green, blue violet, and red violet. So they're all 2-word words. And notice that when you are describing a tertiary color, you start by the primary color within the combination. So each tertiary color is a combination of a primary and a secondary color, but you always say the primary color first. So red-orange is kind of the step between red and orange. Yellow-orange is a step between yellow and orange. I think it's pretty straightforward, makes sense. But I think that key is just to remember you say the primary color first. And so this is a chance now in your sketchbook when you're adding the color next to it with the colored pencil to practice some color mixing. So with your colored pencils to create a red-orange, if you don't have that in your set, draw lightly with red and then layer on top of that with your orange colored pencil. Maybe go back on top with red again, layer again with orange, and just kind of build up those colors to get something in between. Kind of practicing color mixing with colored pencil. And some artists call these intermediate colors instead of tertiary. So those two words kind of mean the same thing here. All right, and next on your list for definitions is tint. And a tint is white plus your color, or a color plus white. So it's just a lighter version of the color. Sometimes it looks more pastel, but it's color plus white, or white plus your color. So here at the end of these spectrums, we have the red, the yellow, the blue, the original hue, and then these all are all the steps of adding a little bit more white and it getting lighter and lighter and lighter. So each of these after the square on the right side is a tint. Some are just more tinted than others. So it's kind of like a spectrum. So in your sketchbook, when you write white plus color, you could try to make a pink with using your red and your white colored pencil and layering the two colors on top of each other. And now we have the opposite, a shade. So a shade is when you're darkening a color. So one way to darken your color is doing the color plus black. That'll create a shade. Now, that's not the only way to darken a color, but let's keep it simple right now, where a shade is a color plus black. So here we have the color on the left side of the screen, and then just a little bit of black added, more and more and more. So all those are examples of shades of those colors. So do an example of that in your sketchbook as well, where you start with your color and then layer on a little bit of black, maybe add the color on top again and kind of layer that to try to create a shade. You could either do red or blue, whatever color you want. So here's another example of a color wheel showing those ranges of tints and shades. So here we have the ring of the pure hue without any white or black added in. It's just the color itself. And then a couple stages of a shade adding black, or a couple steps of a tint adding white. So this is more of a full spectrum of colors. So now on the bottom of your page, I want you to draw your own color wheel. So this is going to be helpful for our next part where we start to talk about color harmonies and how can you use the color wheel to pick out colors that go well together. So what you'll start to do is draw a triangle, just like this one here you see me outlining. And then in the colors, I would write out the color just so you remember what it is. Red in red, yellow in yellow, and blue. So start with that triangle. And then draw a triangle upside down, so it's kind of crossing over it. We have orange in the top left, violet, and green. And then you'll write in the tertiaries. You can do shorthand if you want in just the first letter initial, but just remember to have the primary color listed first. So between yellow and orange, yellow's the primary, so we're going to do yellow, orange, Y-O. Between red and orange, we do R-O for red, orange. Red, violet, blue, violet, blue, green, and yellow, green. So take a moment and draw this in your sketchbook so that you can use it as a reference. So this is what your final color wheel notes page should look like. Just make sure you've added everything so that you can always come back to these notes. So now that maybe that's just a quick review for you all, or maybe you learned something new, but now that we have some of that vocabulary down, let's talk about the color harmonies. So how can we come up with different combinations of these colors to actually make it look better than just choosing colors at random? So we're going to be learning about 7 different color harmonies. So on a new page in your sketchbook, leaving some space in between, write out each of these color harmonies. So we have cool, warm, triadic, complementary, split complementary, monochromatic, and analogous. So yeah, as I was saying, what is color harmony exactly? You're just choosing several colors, more than one color, from the color wheel that produce desirable combinations. Some people, I feel like, just have kind of a feeling about it, like you can just look at colors and kind of know what goes well together. But otherwise, if that's not as easy for you, learning about this and kind of the science behind it, why are we drawn to these certain color combinations? Well, it all has to do with how they're positioned on the color wheel and the color spectrum and creating contrast. So learning some of these combinations will help you in a lot of ways. For example, you might want to know about different color harmonies when you're designing a room in your house. Thinking about what kind of artwork versus what kind of rugs versus the paint colors. What colors can you choose so that it looks good going together, not just kind of random and chaotic. When you're getting dressed, maybe you want to pick out clothes that look well together. Taking photos, so a lot of photographers really think about this. And just creating artwork in general. You want to use colors that enhance each other, look good together, and not clash. Okay, so now we're going to be taking notes in your sketchbook. So cool hue harmony. So in your sketchbook, write down this definition. Cool hue harmony is associated with cool objects or circumstances. These colors range from yellow-green to violet. So any of these colors are considered cool colors. So that could be all of these. That could be any 3 of these. So blue, green, violet, that would be an example of a cool hue harmony. So in your sketchbook, using your colors, write an example of 3 colors that make a cool harmony. So using your colored pencils. And then we have the opposite side of the color wheel. So a warm hue harmony are any of these more warmer colors. They remind us of warmer experiences. They just feel warmer. And so you could use any of these colors to have a warm hue harmony: yellow, orange, red, any kind of combination of those. Triadic harmony. Triadic harmony is 3 colors equally spaced on the color wheel. So write this definition in your sketchbook and then write an example or draw in an example with your colored pencils. So the example shown here is red, yellow, and blue. So it's always 3 colors, and notice that there's 3 colors in between each of them. So they're equally spaced. But yellow-orange, red-violet, and blue-green would also be a triadic color harmony. Or green, violet, and orange would also be triadic. So choose one example to write down in your sketchbook with the definition. complementary harmony. So these are two colors opposite each other on the color wheel, providing the maximum visual contrast. So here we're seeing the example of red and green, but any two colors directly across from each other. So we have yellow, green, and red, violet, yellow and violet. All of those are examples of complementary colors. In art, maybe, like, I don't think I'd want to do my artwork just bright red and bright green. That would feel a little, I don't know, a little too much, but you can add tints of these colors or shades of these colors, variations of these colors. And those still, any red family or green family together is going to be a complementary example. Split complementary is a little trickier to always pick out, but it's one color, so choose any color on the color wheel, and then find its complement, but we're choosing the two colors next to it. So instead of red and green, we have red, yellow green, and blue green. So in your sketchbook, write an example of those. So yellow and violet would be complements, but a split complement would be yellow, red violet, and blue violet. So monochromatic is the only example where there's just one color selected. So we're choosing one main color, and then within that color, we're making it darker and making it lighter, adding white, black. So a monochromatic color harmony is one color plus its tints and shades. The addition of white, gray, and or black. So it doesn't have to have the full spectrum to be monochromatic necessarily, but it has either tints or shades or both. So in your sketchbook, draw an example, trying to use your color plus your white colored pencil and black colored pencil to create that. Analogous color harmony. I think this is my favorite color harmony that I like to see. So you have at least three colors, could be more, that are directly next to each other on the color wheel and share a common hue. So here we're seeing red orange, red, and red violet. But really it could be any three or more colors just directly touching each other. All right. Thanks for taking all these notes with me. This is what your final color harmony notes page should look like, more or less. So you have a quick definition written down and then a visual example. And hopefully you got some good practice with your layering and mixing of colored pencils. That'll be helpful for our next project that we do. All right, so the last part of this video is a short quiz. So now using your notes, I'm going to be showing an image, and I want you to give me your best guess for what color harmony is inspiring that composition, that design. What colors are they using, and then how does that work with the color wheel? So you can use your notes for this, but give me what you think. All right, so here we have a quilt. I'm seeing orange and blue. So what color harmony best describes using orange and blue? Good job. Complementary harmony. So not the red and green, but the orange and blue, two colors directly across from each other. I feel like in this example, I see kind of like there's some red oranges and some blue greens. And then there's some yellow oranges, some blue violet on the outside, and then some orange and blue. So they're kind of using multiple levels of the complementary color harmony. All right, so in this example, I'm seeing red, blue, and yellow. Red, blue, and yellow. What color harmony best describes those three colors as the main colors we're seeing? All right, good job. Triadic color harmony. So 3 colors equally spaced on the color wheel. You got it. Okay, so here I'm seeing a painting of a bunny. And I'm seeing kind of a lighter beige or lighter yellow, kind of a medium yellow ochre, kind of a darker yellow. So kind of like on this spectrum, the yellow, orange, yellow, it's a little bit more neutral, but kind of like a general color, then some lighter colors, darker colors of that. What color harmony would that describe? Good job. Monochromatic. So here I would say it's kind of the yellow spectrum or the yellow-orange spectrum. Something kind of in there. For this example, I'm seeing some dark green, green, yellow-green, yellow, yellow-orange. It's kind of these colors over here. What color harmony could that be? You got it. That is an example of an analogous color harmony. Colors directly touching each other on the color wheel. All right, I think this is the last one. Here for the main colors, I'm seeing red, orange, and yellow. What color harmony do you think is best described here? You got it, warm hue harmony. So using several different colors from the warm side. And so sometimes warm and cool hues can also be analogous color harmonies. They can sometimes be both, but I'd say that's one of the only examples of that. All right, and that's all I have for you today. Thanks for talking about color harmonies with me. And now you need to start thinking about what kind of color harmony can you use for your graffiti name design. So we'll talk more about that later this week, but you'll definitely want to use your notes for that. I hope you have a great day.